Did you know that your morning almond could have stopped your heart 1,000 years ago? That cassava, eaten by 800 million people daily, still kills thousands each year when prepared incorrectly? Today, I'll reveal 15 foods that began as nature's weapons, each one a poison our ancestors spent millennia learning to detoxify. These aren't exotic toxins. They're everyday foods in your kitchen, carrying genetic memories of the poisons they once produced. Number 1 on this list still kills people every year, despite thousands of years of cultivation. One wrong preparation step means certain death. Stay to the end. The final food will make you question whether humans should have ever decided to eat it. Let's begin. Number 15. Kidney beans. Imagine biting into a raw kidney bean. Within 3 hours, violent nausea hits like a freight train. Stomach cramps so intense you can't stand. Relentless vomiting begins. You've experienced phytohemagglutinin poisoning from just 4 or 5 raw beans. Kidney beans contain one of the highest concentrations of phytohemagglutinin, a lectin that causes red blood cells to clump, creating tiny blockages in your bloodstream. This triggers severe gastroenteritis, mimicking food poisoning, but far more violent. Here's the treacherous part. Slow cookers can make kidney beans more toxic. If temperature doesn't reach boiling, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, lectins multiply instead of breaking down. Cases of mass poisoning from slow-cooked beans appear regularly in medical literature. The solution? Boil kidney beans hard for at least 10 minutes. This denatures the protein, rendering it harmless. Ancient cooks learned through painful trial that raw beans killed and boiled beans didn't. That kidney bean chili you love? Every bean was potentially lethal until heat broke the molecular bonds holding death inside. Number 14. Wild almonds. Picture yourself in a Central Asian orchard 4,000 years ago. You crack open an almond and taste overwhelming bitterness that burns your tongue. Within minutes, your mouth goes numb, heart races, dizziness overwhelms you. You've consumed amygdalin. Your body is converting it to hydrogen cyanide. Wild almonds are nature's cyanide capsules. A single bitter almond contains 4 to 9 milligrams of hydrogen cyanide. A lethal dose for a child is 10 to 15 almonds. Ancient humans discovered this through death, written in unmarked graves. When you bite an almond, you rupture cells, mixing amygdalin with enzyme emulsin. This produces hydrogen cyanide, which blocks oxygen use in cells. Your cells suffocate from inside even though you're breathing. What saved humanity? A mutation in gene SK1 that stopped amygdalin production. Every commercial almond descends from this mutation, grafted endlessly across continents. The danger persists. Plant a sweet almond seed, and there's 50% chance the tree reverts to poisonous fruit. Only constant grafting keeps our almonds edible. Number 13. Cassava. Travel to West Africa, South America, Southeast Asia. Anywhere cassava feeds millions. Peel it, grate it, eat it raw. Within hours, you're experiencing cyanide poisoning. Chronic consumption causes konzo, paralytic disease, leaving you unable to walk for life. Cassava is humanity's most dangerous staple food, still in widespread use. Over 800 million depend on it daily. It's loaded with cyanogenic glycosides, primarily linamarin, breaking down into hydrogen cyanide when cells are damaged. There are 2 varieties: sweet cassava with lower cyanide, and bitter cassava with concentrations high enough to kill quickly. Bitter cassava can contain up to 1 gram of cyanide per kilogram. enough to kill a child from a single poorly processed root. Traditional processing: peel, grate, soak in water for days, squeeze out liquid, sun-dry or cook. Each step leaches out cyanogenic compounds. These techniques were survival protocols written in bodies of those who got it wrong. Modern tragedy. In refugee camps and drought conditions, people skip processing steps. The result? Konzo epidemics paralyzing children whose mothers couldn't properly process cassava because water was too precious. That tapioca in your bubble tea? Cassava starch, processed and safe. But somewhere today, a family's health depends on remembering every step. Number 12. Rhubarb leaves. Picture a Victorian garden, 1815. A woman harvests rhubarb stalks for pie, then decides the large leaves would make lovely salad greens. Within hours, burning sensations in mouth and throat. Breathing becomes difficult. Kidney failure follows. She dies, killed by vegetables from her garden. Rhubarb leaves contain oxalic acid and anthraquinone glycosides. Lethal dose is roughly 11 pounds, but severe poisoning occurs with far less. Oxalic acid binds with blood calcium, forming calcium oxalate crystals. Microscopic glass shards shredding kidney tissues. World War I created tragedy. Britain promoted rhubarb leaves as edible greens during shortages, then retracted advice, but not before documented poisonings. Here's the paradox. Stalks are safe and prized. The genetic program producing delicious stalks simultaneously produces deadly leaves. Same plant, radically different chemistry. Modern cases persist. In 2015, a Chinese farmer died making rhubarb leaf soup. Emergency rooms see children who nibbled the tempting leaves. Number 11. Nutmeg. Imagine 16th century spice trade. Nutmeg worth more than gold. But sailors discover, consume too much, and reality fractures. You hallucinate, heart races, seize, lapse into coma. Welcome to nutmeg poisoning. Death by dessert spice. Nutmeg contains myristicin, metabolizing into MMDA, structurally similar to MDMA. At 5 to 10 grams, 2 to 3 whole nutmegs, it triggers nutmeg psychosis, hallucinations, paranoia, out-of-body sensations lasting 24 to 48 hours. At higher doses, seizures, organ damage, death. No antidote exists. The treachery. Effects don't begin for 2 to 8 hours, tricking people into consuming more. In 1908, an 8-year-old boy died after eating 2 nutmegs. The dosage between makes cookies delicious and causes psychosis is only tenfold, a narrow margin. That pumpkin spice latte? Safe amounts, but your spice cabinet contains concentrated poison. Number 10. Elderberries. Picture bright red elderberries. You pop raw berries in your mouth. Within 30 minutes, violent diarrhea and vomiting begin. You've been poisoned by cyanogenic glycosides. Elderberries contain sambunagrin, breaking down into hydrogen cyanide when digested. European elder makes exceptional wines and syrups when cooked. Raw? A cyanide factory. Unripe red berries are most toxic, but even ripe purple berries aren't safe raw. The treachery. Elderberries look similar to deadly plants like pokeweed. A 1983 California case involved 25 people hospitalized after herbalists crushed leaves and stems with berries. High cyanide dose. That elderberry syrup you took for your cold? Safe only because someone cooked it properly, killing the cyanide factory inside each berry. Number 9. Lima beans. Picture 19th century Puerto Rico. Some Lima beans taste mild. Others carry alarming bitterness, but you're hungry. Within hours, cyanide poisoning. In tragic cases involving children, death follows. Lima beans come in two types: sweet varieties with low cyanogen and bitter varieties containing up to 3,000 milligrams cyanide per kilogram, 100 times more than sweet varieties. Enough to make raw, bitter limas genuinely lethal. You can't tell bitter from sweet by appearance. Only taste reveals the difference. In 1964, 14 children in the Philippines died after eating bitter lima beans. Traditional preparation: prolonged soaking, boiling in multiple water changes. Modern U.S. Lima beans are sweet varieties with negligible cyanide. But in tropical regions, bitter varieties persist, better adapted to poor conditions. Number 8. Apricot kernels. Crack open an apricot pit. Inside is an almond-like kernel some call vitamin B17, claiming it cures cancer. What they don't advertise, these kernels contain concentrated cyanide. People die eating them. Apricot kernels contain amygdalin, at concentrations 5 to 10 times higher than bitter almonds. One kernel contains roughly 0.5 milligrams cyanide. For children, as few as 10 kernels cause serious toxicity. The lead trial scam of the 1970s marketed this as cancer cure despite zero evidence. FDA banned it in 1980, but internet sales continue. In 2017, a 67-year-old man died after consuming kernels for prostate cancer. The regulatory crisis. Kernels classified as food supplements, not drugs, letting sellers avoid safety testing. They're cyanide capsules wrapped in pseudoscientific marketing. Number 7. Potatoes, green or sprouted. Walk into your pantry. Potatoes have turned green or sprouted. Most people cut away green parts. Both instincts are right, that green signals poison. The potato is producing solanine and chaconine, glycoalkaloid toxins causing serious illness and, in extreme cases, death. Potatoes are nightshade family members. When potato cells detect light, they produce chlorophyll, green color, and solanine simultaneously. These glycoalkaloids inhibit acetylcholinesterase, causing overstimulation of nerves and muscles. Symptoms: burning mouth, severe cramps, vomiting, diarrhea. In severe cases, confusion, hallucinations, paralysis, death. In 1952, 78 Scottish school children suffered solanine poisoning from lunch potatoes. Modern toxicology says, if greening is extensive or potato tastes bitter, throw it out. Alkaloids diffuse through the tuber, beyond what eyes can see. Number 6. Wild mushrooms, death cap. Picture a European forest. You spot mushrooms with white stalks and greenish caps, remarkably similar to edible paddy straw mushrooms. You cook them carefully. They taste pleasant. 12 hours later, you feel fine. The poison is working silently. By day 3, your liver is failing. By day 7, you're dead or receiving an emergency transplant. You've eaten Amanita phalloides, the death cap, Earth's single deadliest fungus. Death caps contain amatoxins, cyclic peptides inhibiting RNA polymerase II, an enzyme essential for transcribing DNA. Your cells forget how to be alive. Mortality rate, 50%, even with aggressive treatment. The timeline is cruelly deceptive. Initial symptoms, vomiting, diarrhea, begin after 6 to 12 hours, then mysteriously resolve. Victims feel better, believe they're recovering. This false recovery lasts 1 to 2 days, while amatoxins silently destroy liver and kidneys. By the time symptoms return, jaundice, confusion, bleeding, damage is catastrophic. There is no antidote. Treatment is supportive. Intravenous fluids, activated charcoal if caught early, often liver transplant. Death caps are increasingly common outside Europe, spreading to North America and Australia through contaminated tree saplings. They resemble edible species. Expert mycologists have been poisoned after decades of experience. The poison is heat-stable. Cooking doesn't neutralize it. There is no preparation making death caps safe. Death caps are responsible for over 90% of fatal mushroom poisonings worldwide. Number 5. Ackee fruit. Imagine Jamaica in the 1700s. People eating unripe ackee or wrong parts began suffering seizures, vomiting, then slipping into comas. The condition? Jamaican vomiting sickness. It killed hundreds. The culprit? Hypoglycin A, one of nature's most dangerous toxins in any food humans regularly consume. Ackee contains hypoglycin A in seeds and unripe arils. Before modern medicine, up to 80% of severe cases died. Even today, mortality hovers around 35%. Hypoglycin A blocks fatty acid metabolism, preventing cells from accessing fat stores for energy. Blood sugar crashes catastrophically, while toxic metabolites accumulate. Within 2 to 12 hours, violent vomiting, profound weakness, seizures, coma, death from cerebral edema. The timing paradox: only fully ripe ackee that naturally opened on the tree is safe. Force open an unripe fruit? Poison. The margin between too early and safe is measured in hours. Jamaica made ackee its national fruit, despite its danger. Traditional knowledge passed through generations teaches proper selection. Knowledge that is the only thing keeping ackee from being a public health catastrophe. Number 4. Bitter melon, extreme consumption. Picture rural China, where bitter melon is prized for medicinal properties. A man consumes an entire large bitter melon raw, seeking maximum health benefits. Within hours, severe abdominal pain, vomiting blood, seizures. He's poisoned by momorticin and cucurbitacins, compounds that in excess cause syndrome eerily similar to cholera. Bitter melon contains several toxic compounds. In small, cooked amounts, traditionally consumed, they provide medicinal benefits. In excess, particularly raw, severe gastrointestinal distress, hemolysis, red blood cell destruction, potentially fatal hypoglycemia. Cases appear frequently. 2017. A Vietnamese woman died after consuming concentrated bitter melon juice daily. 2019. An Indian man suffered acute kidney failure after excessive raw bitter melon. The pregnancy crisis. Bitter melon contains compounds stimulating uterine contractions and causing miscarriage. Multiple studies document pregnancy loss after consumption. Yet it's sold as natural health food, with no pregnancy warnings. Modern health fad culture ignores traditional wisdom. Juice cleanses, detox protocols, concentrated supplements, all marketed without understanding toxicity profiles. Number 3. Cherry pits and other stone fruit seeds. A child swallows a cherry pit whole. Probably safe, the pit will pass undigested. But imagine that child cracks open multiple pits with a nutcracker and eats the kernels inside. Now, panic. Each kernel contains amygdalin breaking down into cyanide. A fatal dose for a child could be as few as 30 to 40 kernels. Cherry pits, peach pits, apricot pits, plum pits, apple seeds, all contain cyanogenic glycosides. The whole pit is safe because the hard shell prevents digestion. Crack or chew the pit, and you release concentrated poison. Historical accidents. Children collecting cherry pits to crack for kernels. In 2017, A British man nearly died after eating 3 teaspoons of homemade apricot kernel extract daily. Why do plants produce cyanide in seeds? The seed is the plant's future. Surrounding it with poison discourages destruction. Animals eating flesh and digesting pit whole become seed dispersers. Animals crushing the pit get poisoned. Number 2. Fugu, pufferfish. Imagine sitting in a Tokyo restaurant, about to consume fugu sashimi, pufferfish prepared by a chef who trained years to earn the license to serve this deadly delicacy. The slices are translucent, artfully arranged. If the chef made even one small error, cut too close to the liver, nicked the ovaries, you will die within hours. No antidote exists. Pufferfish contain tetrodotoxin, TTX, one of the most powerful natural toxins known. 1 milligram can kill an adult. A single pufferfish contains enough to kill 30 people. The toxin concentrates in liver, ovaries, intestines, and skin, exactly the parts requiring meticulous removal. Tetrodotoxin blocks voltage-gated sodium channels in nerve and muscle cells. Paralysis begins in extremities and progresses toward the diaphragm. You remain fully conscious as your body becomes paralyzed. Eventually, you cannot breathe. Death comes from respiratory paralysis, while you're aware of every moment. Symptoms begin within 20 minutes to 2 hours. Tingling lips and tongue, numbness spreading, dizziness, vomiting. Then, progressive paralysis. The entire progression from first symptom to death can occur in 4 to 6 hours. There is no antidote. Treatment is mechanical ventilation, intravenous fluids, monitoring. If you survive the first 24 hours on life support, the toxin clears. But during those 24 hours, you're trapped in a paralyzed body. Japan requires fugu chefs to undergo 2 to 3 years of training and pass rigorous exams. Even with this system, roughly 20 to 40 deaths occur per year in Japan. Unlicensed preparation, fishermen serving their catch, home cooks, causes most deaths. Number 1. Pangium edule, Keluak nut. Imagine Southeast Asia, where a large tree produces fruits containing nuts called Keluak. These nuts are central to Indonesian and Peranakan cuisine. Without them, dishes like rawon and ayam buah Keluak cannot exist. But here's the nightmare. Raw Keluak nuts contain hydrogen cyanide at concentrations that make them among the most poisonous foods humans regularly consume. Improperly prepared, they kill. Yet culinary tradition demands their use. A single raw Keluak nut contains enough cyanide to cause severe poisoning. A handful could be fatal. The traditional preparation process is extraordinarily elaborate, taking weeks to months. First, nuts are buried in ash and banana leaves for 30 to 40 days. Fermentation begins breaking down cyanogenic compounds. Then they're boiled repeatedly in multiple water changes, each boiling leaching out more toxins. Finally, they're stored in water for additional weeks. The entire process can take 2 to 3 months before nuts are considered safe. Every step was discovered through trial and error. People died until communities learned the correct technique. This knowledge is cultural survival information. Skip a step, rush the process, forget to change water enough times, and you've created poison. Different trees produce nuts with different cyanide concentrations. Growing conditions, soil composition, tree age, all affect toxin levels. You cannot tell by looking how poisonous a Keluak nut is. Traditional preparation assumes maximum toxicity and treats every nut as potentially lethal. Modern cases still occur. In 2019, A Singapore family was hospitalized after consuming Keluak from a supplier who shortened fermentation. In 2017, a Malaysian restaurant was investigated after customers showed cyanide poisoning symptoms traced to improperly prepared Keluak. The taste of properly prepared Keluak is unique, earthy, slightly bitter, with richness justifying the elaborate preparation. Chefs describe it as irreplaceable. Here's the crisis. Younger generations in diaspora communities lack traditional knowledge. They buy pre-processed Keluak but don't know how to verify proper treatment. Commercial suppliers vary in quality control. Why do cultures continue eating Keluak when it requires such dangerous preparation? Cultural identity. Keluak dishes are living connections to heritage, family traditions, ancestral knowledge. To abandon Keluak would be to lose cultural memory. That spoonful of ayam buah Keluak represents months of preparation, centuries of accumulated knowledge, and transformation of one of nature's most potent plant poisons into something edible. It exists only because generations remembered every step required to keep poison from killing. So there you have it. 15 foods proving humanity's relationship with nature is part genius, part insanity. From kidney beans requiring proper cooking, to almonds that once contained cyanide, to Keluak nuts demanding months of detoxification, every item reveals a truth. The line between food and poison is thinner than most imagine. We didn't just learn to cook. We learned to detoxify, to domesticate, to transform deadly substances into nutrition. The knowledge required took millennia to accumulate, written in the suffering of those who got it wrong. What's most concerning? Much of this knowledge is being lost. Diaspora communities forget traditional methods. Modern convenience makes us skip essential steps. We trust processors without understanding what they're protecting us from. The foods in your kitchen carry genetic memories of when they were weapons. Green potatoes still produce solanine. Raw kidney beans still contain lectins. Improperly prepared foods still kill people every year. Next time you cook, remember, the difference between a meal and poison is knowledge, attention, and respect for nature's pharmacy. If this changed how you see your kitchen, smash that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me which food shocked you most. See you in the next one.